on, all my fellow godlies and Gears of War enthusiasts around the world? I am Vance, bringing you another episode of the Gears of War 5 God Build series. So, I always do a little bit of house cleaning before I get into my videos. If you like this intro, and you find it to be intriguing, this is Lost Ark. There's currently no way for console players to play, but the hope is that one day it will become cross-play for everyone to play, just like Gears of War 5 is, because I am enjoying the shit out of it in PC. I am in the Galater server, so if you are seeing this and you're on PC, come join me, because it's a blast. Alright, so with that quick public service announcement out of the way, let's get into our actual video. So, judging by the title of the video, I am covering the Anchor today, and I have no idea why its name is the Anchor. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is your pistolier type of class. It sports a magnum, otherwise known as a bolt-hock pistol, and it's actually really good. I mean, the potential for this class is limitless. Basically because you have infinite ammo in Horde with the perks that you use. Speaking of, you're gonna want to go for the infinite ammo in the perks. I've shown here that you need to be prioritizing that over the next two that you will get, which is, I think, damage, and it's crit damage, and then something else. But the infinite ammo should come first. And then if your team needs some supplies, like if you need to put some power into the fabricator, you should probably prioritize doing that next, because infinite ammo is what you're gonna need in order to inflict bleed all the time. Now, with that being said, I do have some minor complaints with the Anchor. It feels like the bolt-hock itself is very inaccurate. I did have some test footage, but I ended up scrapping it just because it wasn't very good footage. Either my teammates were really too good and I couldn't get in a lot of offense, or alternatively my teammates were too bad and we couldn't finish an escape or a horde properly without me, having some footage to show you guys. So the main thing that I want to illustrate here is that the accuracy of the bolt-hock should be bumped up by Gears of War 6. That's just my opinion. I think that it's a little bit too inaccurate. It does seem to float around the reticle instead of just being dead center in the middle. But I mean, other people don't have an issue with it, so maybe it's just my personal thing. I don't know. Weigh in on the comments if you want to. Tell me your experiences using the bolt-hock, but from mine, I just would like it to be a little bit more accurate, that's all. And I am pretty accurate with it. It just seems to float around a lot, especially when you're pulling the trigger rapidly. So the Anchor is a pistol specialist that uses an invincible barrier to outsmart the enemy. I don't agree with that description, really. You don't outsmart anybody. You just really kind of just brute force your way through escapes and hordes. As it states, you deploy an ultimate ability, which is the barrier. It's an invulnerable shield that moves with you. So this is like using a riot shield, except it doesn't require another arm to operate. You just move forward and you don't take any damage coming in from your forward, but from your flank you're still very vulnerable. Anyone who fires through your barrier deals 50% damage, deal 30% pistol damage. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be including this as an exploit in my mod setup for escape. So let's get into the build. So for escape, I am using the mod Bloody Shot. Activate pistol bullets, causes bleeding for 80% of damage. Everything in this build here, except for bolt-hock bandolier, is maxed out. So when I'm describing these descriptions, usually I don't have my mods maxed out. So you have to take it with a grain of salt and think these percentages are going to increase. But here, these percentages, most of them are at the very peak of their performance. So crazy tough, 60% increased health. I have this specifically for escape because I feel like even with your shield you still take a lot of damage, and any type of damage ablation you can get is going to be good. Bolthawk Bandolier, 100% increased Bolthawk capacity. That's going to increase once you hit rank 6 with this mod. Lethal Barrier. Barrier does 130% increased damage to enemies. So firing through the barrier on top of your passive is going to be very effective. And then barrier duration increased by 60%. You just want to get this to last as long as possible. That way you can bail your teammates out of a tough spot. I've seen instances in which teammates were pinned down and an anchor was able to push the fight forward. A lot of the weaknesses that lie within the melee classes is the fact that they can't get in close. For example, if you have a Mulcher Scion that's just guarding a hall, or it's walking towards you guys, and you're going to be screwed unless you can get the melee guy in close. Well, the anchor is your go-to. Anchor is going to be a perfect sidekick for any melee class because if there's communication on your team, the anchor can say, "I've got my barrier." He can push the fight forward. The melee can fall in close to their 6 and get up in close personal and just lay the smack down. Anchor is going to be very strong on its own. When you hit an active reload, you will bleed out your enemies. So you want to make sure that you're hitting your active reload as much as possible, if not 100% of your time, because why not have all that extra bleed damage? And it stacks on itself, so one shot that does bleeding will stack with another shot that does bleeding. If it's not doing enough damage, shoot them some more. This is really the cowboy mentality. You're not outsmarting anybody. That's why I don't agree with the description. Again, one thing that I want to preface here is the fact that your active reload effects don't last long enough. I've complained about this what seems like a million times with my friends. I have a personal friend who has played Anchor, and he's made the same complaint that every time he gets a reload, he doesn't feel like the active bonuses last long enough, and I totally agree with that. I think that they should be buffing that, because the class effects that you have in-game, you're using against the game itself. This isn't in a competitive environment. You don't have anybody on the other side complaining about this, so there's no reason why we can't have a slightly overpowered Anchor. I mean, it's still vulnerable from the rear. It has a lot of issues. You know, you're limited to your Bolthawk. That's like the only thing that's going to do damage, and it's out damaged by other classes. So I mean, you might as well make this class shine as much as it can. So moving on to the Horde setup, which is different from the Escape. I have Barrier Battery, which is also used in the Escape setup. You increase your barrier duration. Bloody Shot, active pistol bullets causing bleeding for 80% of damage. Crazy Tough is here again. Lethal Barrier, and then Dodge, 32% resistance to marksman weapons. That's just, I feel like that's a little bit more important to Horde, because you have quite a lot of riflemen to deal with and not so much in Escape. And I mean, really, when you're in Escape, you do get flanked, but you don't get flanked often, so you can usually tell what's ahead of you, and there's not always a lot of marksmen. If I had to replace this, I don't even know what I would go for. Maybe the barrier feedback, or something to extend the size of the barrier. Harness energy would actually be pretty good. Each barrier hit gives 4 stim to the team. That would be pretty nice. The barrier boost, 70% increased barrier size. There's a lot of them that you could use here. It's really kind of up to your preference on the last mod that you want to use. Although I would say that, you know, dodge is something that I slapped on there pretty early on, and I'm not sure that I even really much use it anymore, or that I need to use it for that matter. I think it might actually be better to use harness energy in this specific instance, because in Horde you're getting shot a lot more, and if you can generate stim for your team, that's probably going to be more beneficial to your team. I'm not sure, man, because Horde is really tough, especially if you're doing Master difficulty. A couple of shots are going to put you down, so I may just leave the dodge on there. Again, it really comes down to your preference, what works best for you. So, you know, take this video with a grain of salt. I hope that you've learned something from it. I hope that you were entertained. And as always, you can't advance without Vance. So like, comment, share, subscribe, do everything I always encourage you to do. And until next time, peace.